Hi, good afternoon. Oh, naglag. Okay, so what's really being hard, being the last presenter is that number one, I stand between you and lunch. And all of my punchlines have been consumed already by the previous speaker, so bear with me. But thank you for that. Thank you for setting the stage, actually. So today, I'm going to talk about some unique problems of fintechs, And one of that unique problems that I have shared actually in the roundtable discussions earlier is how to scale. That's the next problem because some companies digitally transformed, right? A lot of companies had this digital transformation effort where a lot of your C-level people actually went into a room. We really worked together to get this to get into the cloud, adopt digital transformation. But there are some other companies like Maya that are actually born digital. We did not have to go through that digital transformation journey as others did. But actually, if you think about it, we're all trying to succeed in this journey, no matter if you're cloud native, no matter if you went into digital transformation, we're all in this together. We're all in the same ecosystem. And I hope everyone now understands that when you went digital, it was never meant to solve all your problems, right? It was not a panacea. But what went well when you went digital is that it actually prepared you to solve better problems. There are bad problems, there are good problems. Now, if you went digital, there are some business outcomes that you're now trying to achieve because you're now capable of doing all of these, right? Like hypergrowth. Because you're now able to develop products faster, because you're now able to have a better relationship between business, your development teams, your product teams, you're able to better achieve the right product market fit. And if you hit product market fit, you go into hypergrowth, which is a very good thing for your investors. You're now poised to minimize faults by scale, right? One of the promises of going into the cloud and going digital transformation is that you're able to manage your cash flows and you have a better cost for your technology. And since you're in the cloud, since your telemetry data has a lot of things to say, you can actually do data-driven everything, right? The leverage of AI, leverage of big data for you to decide on critical matters in the company. And another outcome would be you have to, for all of these to happen, you have to retain top talent in your organizations. And there are actually a lot of technology enablers for that, right? If you look at hypergrowth, we have been talking about CI/CD, or continuous integration and continuous delivery, which is a way for us to introduce small app changes rather than a big bang approach. Going agile, embracing DevOps in the company. And for you to even scale faster, right? What do? If I can't build the feature, what will I do as a fintech? I partner with someone who's actually built that feature, and I make sure that partner is secure, right? In minimizing app faults, there's serverless, high availability, infrastructure as code. Like, it's amazing, right? You don't even need to fire up servers for you to run the applications. And later we're gonna talk about the implications of those, right? Cost management, like spot instances, low-cost storage in AWS. If you're there, right, you will see the tiers of S3 buckets that you can avail, depending on your need. And we cannot really leave this talk today if we're not talking about AI, data engineering, data democratization, meaning that everyone in the company is trying to get hold of your data. You want to know what was your sales yesterday? How many customers signed up yesterday? How did our campaigns do? So that you're able to really invest where it really matters. And again, to support all of that, and as we have seen during the COVID pandemic, right? Remote working is here to stay. And for that to happen, you have to go to the cloud. You have to go in, you have to adopt a SaaS first policy. You have to make sure that your workers are happy. Right? And what this brings is actually new challenges in the digital era after you go into digital transformation. And a lot of you will agree that the first challenge there really is cyber warfare in your mobile apps and APIs. So if there's anything that you will likely focus your defenses on, it's on these things, because these are basically the points of entry that's exposed to the public, right? So if you will be really defending against your ecosystem, that's the first entry point. And what digital transformation also brought to us is that it actually increased the attack surface, as the other speakers have been talking about earlier, right? That means that if you're going API, whitelisting is really no longer an option, right? You used to be able to do that if you're doing VPNs, but if you start to open up your APIs, and you're expected that clients' phones will be contacting those APIs, there goes whitelisting, right? You need other ways how you can defend. And for fintechs like us, it's really the convergence of security, AML, anti-fraud, privacy, which will have complications of its own, right? And the worst thing that you want to happen is your fraudsters, your criminals, hiding under the guise of privacy so that they won't be exposed, and that should not happen, right? If you do your risk management right. And sad news to say is that if we don't shift as security shops, we will drag the business. If we keep on insisting that, hey, you have this very heavy armor, wear it, that will slow down the business. We have to think of other ways to do this. And if ChatGPT can create better essays than you do, they can create better phishing emails than the traditional phishers do, right? So weaponizing AI is a very important concern. But not all is lost. These group of people that you're seeing in the board are the ones who are expected to solve this. But the problem is that sometimes they're like that. They're always up in arms. They don't talk. They don't agree. They have different opinions on things. And the first thing that we really had to do to make sure that this happens is that security won't work if humans don't talk. We need to break those silos. We need to really establish security as a company priority. It's a business concern. It's part of the user experience rather than stopping the user experience. It's a part of the board agenda, and it's really a fundamental product design. And you have to bring legal and your regulatory people also in. It's really a company effort. And not humans won't do all the job, right? If there's heavy lifting, give that to the robots. So one of the principles that we are really implementing is that it's behavior over binaries. What that means is that you concentrate on flagging anomalous behavior rather than just checking if there are threats, right? Because you can't predict it. If ChatGPT will be weaponized later on to create 0 days, then we're all dead, right? Any security vendor will not be able to catch that. And what's also important once you go digital, you increase your public footprint, is that you were able to automatically discover what's out there. Your attackers are doing this, right? Your attackers are trying to figure out what's exposed in public. You should do that too, as a company. So automatic discovery, early alerting, and patching of vulnerabilities is important. And some of your adversaries are actually posing as customers, right? If you see that okay, I have a phone, I have a mobile app. How come there's a certain call where the screen resolution is actually 4K and the screen is as big as a flat screen TV, right? That's not a customer. That's an anomaly. That's probably something that I should be blocking. So identity of the customers, the devices that are contacting you, is important. And what has happened when people already went digital, your customers went digital, is that the phishing sites started shifting from the websites to social media. So automatic hunting for all of these issues will be very important in the clear web, dark web, social media, and all of these things. You will have to be really all over the place, if I may. And what's important also for fintechs to really survive is we automate. There's not a lot of security talent out there. There are 3.6 million cybersecurity openings around the world. So the funny thing is that if you're out of talent in the company, what do? You outsource. But the world cannot outsource, right? We don't want to outsource security talent from Mars, right? Be careful what we ask for. So a lot of these things we'll have to automate. Digital forensics and incident response. If you've heard of SOAR, right, that might you might need to really think about exploring using that tool. So anecdotal experience, phishing. We used to handle phishing for an hour, not because we don't just block the source email. We do an investigation, a full-blown investigation, and that's an hour. When we implemented SOAR, 5 minutes. We were able to stop phishing attacks 5 minutes when we started automating. Another toil of security shops would be access management, user access management, right? We want to make sure that we reduce onboarding, offboarding tools by orchestrating your user tables. And whenever someone resigns, it's just a click of a button, and all of your systems should be able to revoke that access, right? I'm talking about very dreamy things here, I know, but it's important. And another very important item that has been talked about earlier, DevSecOps, right? So gone are the days when you can actually take your code, load them in a scanner, try to, and the findings will be sent back to the developers, try to remediate them again, go to another sprint planning. You have to teach your developers how to scan, meaning that it's not just the security doing it. Security can do the governance, right? But the developers should know that part of their development KPI is security, right? You have to integrate that in your expectation for secure code. And another important thing to validate all of that is that you need to validate whether or not they're exploitable, because let's face it, we cannot patch everything. We cannot patch everything. So, but the other question becomes, are all of those findings exploitable? Which is another discussion. And the way to confirm that is if you've automated your security testing already in your CI/CD, confirm that by an automated pen test, right? And that just closes the loop. And we cannot leave today again without really talking about remote work. So if you have a password, if you have a PIN for a particular application, I think MFA is just basic there. You really can't move away from that. Again, if you have a password, if you have a PIN, that's not enough. In everywhere, you have to complement that with MFA. And really bringing that to another step is that we need to really be seriously evaluating zero trust, meaning that it's okay if it's okay if you don't expect a lot of people working remotely, but in a lot of realities right now, I mean, we're all here, right? We're remote right now, but I'm sure some of you are probably sending back emails to your companies as much as I did, right? So really making sure that we authenticate with at all layers is very important, so that we support remote work, and we consider every single device out there as perimeter. No more castle and moat approach. Every single device is an entry point that's connected to the internet. And automating DFIR, digital forensics and incident response, allowing your SOC to be able to respond to your infected laptop while you're in a hotel will be very important, because it's work from anywhere, right? You can't expect the SOC you can't expect people to just be in the office and SOC and respond, right? They will be everywhere. And heck, SOC is everywhere, right? You can't also force SOC to always be in the SOC room. So those are really the realities that we have to be. And I'm towards the end of my presentation. My core takeaway is just this: we should be able to keep up with business and technology change. And the way that I want to analyze this would be the presidential flights. Air Force One, as we know it, right, in the US. That's the first presidential flight in 1943, right? 210 miles per hour max, 6 to 8 passengers. It was probably defended by one of the most iconic fighters in the World War II era, which is the P-51 Mustang, right? I'm into airplanes, so bear with me. Which can travel for 440 mph max. But right now, In 2024, they're revising the Air Force One again, right? And they're deploying a 747-8 there. It will run for 564 mile MPH max, 467 passengers for the commercial version, of course not for Air Force One. And who's defending it now? It's probably F-35s, right? It can run at Mach 1.6. It has guided missiles, and it's probably supported by an entire carrier group. So what am I saying? Your security should keep up with the business. We need to be faster than the business. We need to be protecting what the business is doing for what it's worth, right? And I'm very happy actually for the Philippine Air Force who's also here that we're actually keeping up, right? If you saw photos of President Marcos being escorted by fighter jets, yeah, that's keeping up. Very, very good development there. And ending it by digital transformation is not a journey. Security is a fundamental concept. And if you have seen my talk, we are actually turning gates into guardrails. Again, I'll say that. Turning gates into guardrails. Because if you're a gate, you're stopping it, right? And what will they do? They'll break that gate. That's exactly what business will do. That's exactly what tech will do, right? And your job would be to enable them, put them in your side, make them trust you that you are all on the same business. And we have been talking a lot about automation, but we don't automate just for the sake of automation, right? It has to be purposive. It has to meet a certain criteria. It has a business objective, it's also almost like digital transformation, right? You don't digitally transform just because everyone's doing it. You have to have a purpose, and that has to have KPIs. And AI will really consistently change the way that we do things. If the bad actors are using AI, so should the defenders, more so the defenders, right? And that should be in your business plans and your future references. And we really have to do this together, right? If you want, I'm ending my talk with this African proverb that if you want to run fast, go ahead and run alone. But if you want to run far and really take your business and customer protection to the next level, run together. And that's my presentation. Thank you.